As you said, I am Angel Taylor with Soulful Sounds. I co-own Soulful Sounds, which is a DJ entertainment company with my husband. We are based out of Charlotte. However, we do have a branch in the Long Island, New York City area. We primarily serviced New York, but then we relocated to Charlotte in 2015.
Well, everyone, welcome to Self-Care Your Way to Success podcast, where we highlight women in business and leadership. Today, our special guest, Angel Taylor of Soulful Sounds, is here to share more about her journey, her success story, her self-care rituals, and some nuggets of wisdoms for the audience. So welcome, Angel. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. As you said, I am Angel Taylor with Soulful Sounds. I co-own Soulful Sounds, which is a DJ entertainment company with my husband. We are based out of Charlotte. However, we do have a branch in the Long Island, New York City area. We primarily serviced New York, but then we relocated to Charlotte in 2015. And after a couple of years of flying back and forth to do weddings, it was just kind of like, you know what? I wonder how the market is in Charlotte wanting DJs. And I feel like it was slow in the beginning because that was pre-COVID. Charlotte was not as vibrant as it is today, or even in 21 after COVID. It was still a small town, not a lot of people, and the people that were here were just really football fans, football fans or sports. They were just all around sports. It was either you had sports fans or church fans,
Yes.
because we are the Bible Belt. But it was kind of hard when we got started trying to do events because there weren't that many events. And the ones that were here were paying pennies, let's just say. So it was almost like, dang, we can't leave our house for 6 hours to do an event for that when we can just get on a plane, go to New York, and still make real money and make a real profit, even though we're still talking about 2 days or 3 days out of our week to fly there, do this event, get a hotel, whatever. It still was profitable versus being in Charlotte. However, changed that. So, one of the ways COVID changed that was because people that worked from home now can really work from home from anywhere because of Zoom and everything. So a lot of people relocated here, which I think that goes with most big cities now. A lot of people relocated to a lot of big cities, but Charlotte, the growth is crazy. So now after COVID, the business has boomed. Thank you, Jesus. To just we're tired. We love it. We're just so tired and thankful. And I don't know whoever came up with that phrase booked and busy, but yeah.
That's really your life.
Yes.
What specifically was that thing that caused the pivot in the market in North Carolina, and caused it to just be a surplus of business there? Were you all doing services virtually, or just were there more occasions to offer your DJing and sound services since people were more at home? What caused that change?
First, it started virtually because my husband he was doing networking groups before COVID, because everyone kept saying, you got to network. But the networking circles were small. And during COVID, he ended up meeting up with a lady who's in the entertainment business also. Her name is Lauren. And they started talking about doing virtual events. Like, now that we're in COVID, what can we do? We do virtual events. And they came up with a concept called Music Bingo, which was really Lauren's concept. and they figured out how to do it together. We can do music things, or you can be the music and I can be the entertainer. And they pitched it to different companies. So, I mean, companies in China, companies in Japan, they would be doing it 2 o'clock in the morning, where, in China, it's a different time zone. So they did that and they had a lot of success with that. And then COVID happened. I mean, COVID ended, and some of those companies were like, okay, well, you did it for us. Can you come and do it in person? So that,
Wow.
yeah, so that engagement was so great. So the companies hired both of them to do those. They traveled, did those. And then I think the growth in Charlotte just grew. And this, next thing you know, everybody's on LinkedIn, because I've never seen so many people on LinkedIn before. So then, they're putting all the stuff on LinkedIn. And this one's like, I know her, I know him, I know them. And then now you're tagging your name, and the business just grew from there. It's like, thank God. But I think even more so, even just with, because, I met you through NASDAQ Milestone Circle. And even with the NASDAQ Milestone Circle, that has grown so much. And the people that are doing the work in there and sending emails, I'm just like, I love this. Is just awesome. And it's so funny that in my last cohort that I mentored, one of the mentees that I was talking to, she was, well, is trying to get an app for caregivers that have loved one in hospice. And
Mm.
I was a hospice nurse. So they partnered her up with me to be her mentor. So I mentored her, gave her some advice, and she graduated and everything. I know she met her milestone, but she didn't complete this app. It takes a lot to work on
Yeah.
it. And let me tell you what, the other day I'm on LinkedIn and she commented on something, and someone said, well, where do you live? And I happened to see her response. She said she lived in Charlotte. Had
What a
no
small world.
had no idea the whole time we mentored each other. We never talked about where we lived. It was just so funny. So now I messaged her and I said, I had no idea you were in Charlotte, because we had Zoomed so many times.
Yeah.
And she just, and at the time she had just kept talking about her when her dad passed away. And I said, well, where did he live? And she said, and I don't remember, but like, let's say she said he lived in Cleveland, so I
And
just
you just,
imagined that she lived there. So now I messaged her and I said, I'm in Charlotte. And she said, no way. So next week we're meeting up to meet
you
in
got to have,
person.
yeah, y'all have to have a coffee or a tea or
Yeah, and
something,
I'm
a
just like,
croissant in
that is
person.
so funny. So
Man.
I'm just saying that LinkedIn is just it's just grown so much that, yeah, business is
Yeah.
booming everywhere, and Charlotte is growing, and even that lady is that is so funny.
That is funny. What I'm hearing from your experience so far is, one, your faith. God has really showed up spiritually for you in so many spaces and filled gaps,
Yeah,
and just bridged your idea with the people who needed it in so many ways you couldn't foresee.
yes,
Networking, virtual technology, and just being willing to still show up and honor your business even with the change in the climate, just like with things like COVID and the world shutting down, and just being willing to pivot and with constant change. How meaningful is your spirituality in your relationship with God? How big of a role does that play in like your mind, body, and spirit wellness and how you show up for your business?
I am not one of those religious people, but sometimes I envy the people that can just spew Bible verses, and they'll be in the middle of a conversation and then just will spew a Bible verse and tie it into exactly what they're talking about. So I'm not one of those people. I did grow up heavy in church because my dad is a pastor. And I think because I grew up heavy in church, by the time I got to an adult, I kind of didn't like church because I was forced to go so much as a child. You know how that is. Like Sunday, we left the house in the morning and didn't come back till it was night. And now you're home, and the only thing you have time to do is to shower and go to sleep. And
Yes.
meanwhile, your friends told you the next day, you were gone all day. We did this, we did that. Because back then we played outside,
You
everyone.
did skating the bike outside in the yard, the game,
Yeah, it
popsicles.
wasn't right. It wasn't about TV or a computer. No, we played outside, and this one jumped double dutch and they won. And now we formed a team and you didn't get picked. You were on the losing team because you wasn't here. So from that, I don't think that I consider myself a heavy religious person, but I have my relationship with God and I pray heavily all the time. It plays a big role in a lot of things I do because I know that God is looking out for me and my family. And
Absolutely.
I'm just so thankful. Or I'll say it in just conversations, just like, thank you, Jesus. Thank God for that. Had it not been for God, I don't think that half of the things that I accomplished would have happened. And that sometimes I don't know how people cannot think that God is real. I know there are people that don't think that God is real, but I know that without God, we just would not be where we are today. Like, I don't think I would be as smart as I am or overcome whatever challenges that we've had and just overcome things that we face. And of course, things happen every day. And like I told my kids, you just got to push through. You just got to push through and just know that there's a lesson in there. And that's why God is doing this because we have to learn something from it.
The one common factor that keeps coming up, is finding debt-free funding for the growth of our businesses so that we don't have to stress. So I'm a strategist. I'm a solutions person, and I love to see women in business winning. So I decided to compile a very organized and specific list of over $1 million in debt-free funding that specifically support women entrepreneurs. And I want to share that list with you. Not only am I going to make this debt-free funding list available to you, I'm putting together an event where I'm collaborating with grant writing experts who are going to walk you through step by step on the tips and tricks that they use to increase the likelihood that their clients get approved for this grant funding. But that's not it. I also am collaborating with artificial intelligence experts who partner and use AI to help them grant write more efficiently. It's so important that we share resources and that we tap into the resources that are available to us. But I want to cut out the guesswork, okay? I know what it feels like to have to grind the midnight oil, figure out where the funding is, send out the letters, connect with people, try to get sponsors, get denied after all of my hard work of spending weeks and weeks and weeks of writing letters and preparing applications and answering questions just to find out that I'm not going to be approved for the grant. And I don't want you all to experience that level of disappointment. So I've taken the guesswork out of it. I've partnered with the experts. We are going to actively grant write together. It's a 3-day challenge with an amazing lineup of experts who know what it takes to get approved for debt-free funding. I want you all to understand, as much as I would love to just give this away for free, I want you all to understand you will have to make a small investment in yourself so that I know that you are serious. Okay? It's going to take a small investment of your financial support into yourself, and it's going to take a small time investment of your time into yourself because we have to meet each other halfway. I'm bringing these brilliant experts together. We're all going to meet in one room, and we are going to do a 3-day grant writing challenge together. Okay. But not only are we going to do that, we're going to start each day off with motivation. We're going to get our bodies energetic. Okay. We're going to share support. We're going to connect. We're going to network. There's going to be hundreds of like-minded women in this room. And you're also going to get access to the replays. So after the 3, I'm not just going to give you 3 days of grant writing and just then just leave you alone to your wits. No, we are going to hold each other's hand in community through this process, and you're going to be able to revisit this information. I'm going to send you the downloads, the replays, and I have a really special surprise. I don't want to give it all away right now. Wonderful. I that resonates with me so much. Even your experience, your early childhood experiences, like growing up in church. Like I was so involved in church growing up that I'm not super religious right now. I am spiritual. I pray every day. As soon as my eyes open, like I'm thanking God, like for another day, for another opportunity. Yes. I pray before I film these interviews and podcasts. I just keep my conversation with God open, and I leave space for opportunities for God to work miracles in my life. I don't understand how people think God isn't real, and my heart is full for them, whatever people choose to anchor their life in or their beliefs in, that's totally up to them. But I can say that there's always this deep knowing in those times when things are just out of your control, but they tend to just flow perfectly and just happen to work out. Like you happen to be in that right place at the right time. Right. Like you said, you happen to be in the cohort with somebody that lives in your same state. And you all are literally have similar interests. Can't convince me that isn't God, that isn't the spirit filling the gaps where we can't fill those gaps as humans, you know? Yeah.
Right.
What are some other, beyond just having a healthy spiritual relationship with God and having that level of gratitude and expression and keeping your life open to the miracles that God and spirit can work in your life? What are some other self-care practices and things that keep you balanced between like your business endeavors and your personal growth?
Listen, my number one, and I'm gonna lean in, okay. My number one self-care thing is sleep. Let me tell you, my kids say my mom can sleep like no one else. I love sleep, and I try to get as much sleep as I can. I am a nurse, so I do infusions at people's homes. And what that entails is people have immunocompromised diseases, which means that they're lacking something. They could be, they're lacking some kind of vitamin. They could have severe allergies. Something in their immune system is compromised. And so I'm going to their homes to give them this infusion to help them feel better. Sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's every 3 months, sometimes it's every week, but it's a lot. It is a lot. And I mean, a lot in my mind, wanting to make sure that they're okay. And just being thankful that they allow me to be in their home, of course, for this extended period of time, because sometimes it's 6 hours, sometimes it's 8 hours, So I'm in their house, and it's a lot where I have to process a lot to make sure that I start this IV, stick them, because they sometimes most of the time I'm starting their IV from scratch, meaning that they don't have any kind of ports or anything. So it's a lot, making sure that they're hydrated, making sure their veins don't collapse while I'm sitting there, just making sure that their spirit is positive. And just sometimes just doing calculations on their medication because there's a change. So I think that self-care for me is very important, especially on days that I have to do infusions, because it's draining for me. So I have to make sure I get a lot of sleep the next day. I have to make sure that I eat properly. So eating is a part of my healthcare that I love to eat. I love chocolate. So that's a part of self-care for me, is eating chocolate or having junk food. And another thing that I do for self-care is just watching TV. So
Yeah.
I love watching TV with my husband, just sitting down watching something. Sometimes we'll say, oh, let's put on something funny today. Let's put on something lighthearted. Let's watch an action thing. So that's a part of my self-care that I try to carve out time just say, hey, let's just watch something. And then once we finish, we'll talk about it. And, we'll watch just corny shows and we laugh. Just even last night, he was telling me about this show called 911 or Angela Bassett. And it's so funny because I stopped watching that show because I told him, I was like, you know what? I can't. Like these storylines are just over the top now. And so he tells me about the show yesterday. He goes, you know what? I think you're right. I think I'm going to stop watching this 911 also. So I said, what happened? And he just could not contain himself. He was just laughing so hard. The Jennifer, I can't even remember her name. But she was a celebrity from a while ago. So she's in the show too. She's married. Her husband, she gets kidnapped, which I told him, yep, you already know I'm done with the kidnapping storylines. So anyway, I just say
Yeah.
all that to say that watching TV is a part of my self-care that I love to do.
Yeah, no, I think it's good because what it does is it gives you an outlet. Like you get to totally
Yes,
unplug from work. You're like,
yes,
you know what? I get to be a little, not, I won't say mindless, but you don't have to have all the heavy thoughts on your mind from thinking about, okay, I got to take care of this client. I have to do this tomorrow. I have to show up
yes.
for this. I have to prepare this. I have to you can really quiet your mind, just unplug, have a laugh, enjoy time with your significant other. I love that.
Yes. Do you practice self-care?
I do. I'm heavy in self care. So when I first wake up in the morning, I have this, I live by this, and a lot of people think it's a crazy concept until they start to do it. I recorded my voice saying affirmations, about 10 affirmations, that is just a collective of generally how I would like each day to go. So it's empowering me. It's like you have everything that you need to succeed today. You are empowered. You're going to show up. All of your talents and gifts and what you have to offer, your clients need them. You're going to make a difference. You're going to cross paths with who you need to cross paths with today. All the resources you need are available to you. Just these different things that just reinforce my gratitude and my confidence. And I listen to that within like my first 10 minutes of waking up. And I do that every morning. I have me a glass of water, maybe some yoga poses, but just like a 10 or 15-minute full body stretch just to kind of get me moving. I do a little intermittent fasting, and that looks different for everybody. But it just depends on how you like to break your day up. So I just try to start that first hour or two of my day, my mind calm, build my confidence, put some nutrition in my body, some herbs, some tea, some fresh juices and fruit, and then get some sunlight. And that's just my day-to-day practice. But I
Nice.
absolutely love rest. I interviewed one of another NASDAQ Circle member, and she said, I know I've overworked myself and I don't have time to at least nap for 30 minutes to an hour every day. I
All right,
said, you know what,
Elizabeth.
girl? Your
Yeah.
mind can reset in about 30 to 45 minutes. Just unplug. Are you into like spas and retreats and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I am, but I'm just thinking like you're saying that, and I'm just thinking like, now ain't that God? Like, I feel like, some of the things that I've been looking forward to, even if it came with a spa, like I would love to do something with my husband. While I love girl retreats, I
Yeah.
just think but I feel like there's no one's kind of doing anything that much for couples
Yes.
anymore. My daughter took me to St. Lucia and we went to the Body Holiday in St.
Right.
Lucia, a Body Holiday. And it was a girls' trip. And at the Body Holiday, your stay is incorporated with spa treatments.
Wow.
So you have to sign when you go to that hotel and you say, I'm going to stay there, they automatically assign you to spa retreats every single day at different times. And when you check in, they give you your schedule.
See, I like that.
My God, when I tell you, it is amazing. And so there's so many different aspects. And I would say really look into that because there's so many aspects of that place that's unplugged. Like they tell you, If you come, let's say they say if you come to lunch, you cannot bring your phone. You can't during these certain times, like it's unplugged time.
Yeah.
So it's just so great. I loved it. And the thing about that, which leads me to that, dang, I wish my husband was there to experience this. Like
Yeah.
he would have benefited from that so much. Yeah.
And I noticed a few of the women who were at this most recent retreat that I was at in Bahamas in January. A lot of them are in business partnerships or support their husbands or their spouses support them in business endeavors. And a few of the women who did have their husbands at the retreat, I noticed like they were working in sync, kind of getting their synergy. They were doing the wellness and self-care practices together. And it was just bringing them closer and building that community, that communion kind of in that fellowship in their relationship.
Yeah.
And some of the other women who had spouses was like, dang, my husband asked me, should he come? And I was like, no, don't worry about it. And then when they got there, they were like, dang, I should have had my spouse here with me. And they had that same sentiment where they were like, no, my husband would have really benefited just unplugging and recharging. So I think there is a huge market for couples retreats, especially couples that do business together. Where can people connect with you for Soulful Sounds and any other offerings that you have, any ways that you serve your community? Where can they find you on the internet, on social media, and just be a part of what you offer?
All right. So I am on Instagram for Soulful Sounds at soulful.sounds and then the number 1 Instagram. That's like where we do most things. We're also on LinkedIn. I try to keep our LinkedIn a little simple. I don't want it to be too overwhelming, but soulful.sounds1 on Instagram is the best place to connect. I also am in the process of starting a nonprofit, which is called Nourish Then Flourish Collective. That is also on Instagram at NTF Collective.org. And what that's going to entail once the business plan happens, that is going to be kind of in line with what your business is, just making women be aligned with their mind, body, and spirit, whatever they need. If they came and just said, I just need a half hour, it's like, don't worry about it. I set it up. You got to go tomorrow. Since that's your free time, go here. And so that's how I want that to work. And then right now, one of the things that I'm involved in is a TEDx Sugar Creek Woman TED Talk with this. The host of that is Kara Truitt. And what I love about what's happening there is that there's so many phenomenal speakers that is going to be on stage. And that's going to be my first time attending a TEDx seminar. So, that's beautiful. My goodness, I cannot wait. I am on the volunteer team. Soulful Sounds is also a sponsor, and Nourish Then Flourish is also on the docket. So I am so looking forward to that and just being able, the topic of that is called Wired for Connection, and just looking forward to being wired for the connection of something greater. So it's TEDx Sugar Creek Women, and you can Google that, it'll come up. You can follow them on LinkedIn. Sometimes they do lives with the speakers if they have an announcement or just different things leading up, trying to build excitement, which is so much excitement around it right now. But that is definitely something that I think you should look into, because I'm just so involved in so many different things. Because along with that, I just got offered, which was about a week or so ago, I just got offered to be a host of, the topic is called Color Me in Sound, an interview series for Dear Black Woman Media Magazine. So I've been starting interviewing people for that. It's a movement that is happening. Yeah, I will definitely send you information on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angel, for your time. I appreciate you trusting me, showing up for my podcast today. The support is invaluable. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will definitely stay connected.